Hello and welcome to Claret and Blue. My name is Dan Rolinson. I'm joined here this afternoon by John Townley to discuss Villa's to-do list in the January transfer window, and we've put 9 tasks together that Villa can hope to achieve this month. Some of them are transfer related, hence the title. Some of them are, you could argue, are slightly longer term, but we're here to look at Villa's kind of immediate future over the next 20-30 days or so. Only 3 games this month, including the FA Cup, so transfers is obviously something people want to talk about. But John, most reports suggest it's probably going to be a quiet month for Villa, isn't it?
Yeah, that's only what we were expecting anyway. Obviously, there's 3 weeks left of the window as we're recording this, and we didn't expect any. The January window is all about opportunity, isn't it? It's not that Villa don't have the money or FFP is right on them or anything like that. And yes, they need to be kind of cautious about what they do, and they need to balance it with what they want to do in the summer. But at the moment, Villa are at a point now where there's no. I mean, people will probably disagree, but I don't think there's a clear position at the moment where Villa have to strengthen and they have to spend 30 million and 40 million pounds on a player, especially the January window where those players are simply unattainable, really. I know Tottenham have bought a couple of players, Werner and Dragerson or something, but for Villa, they need to improve their squad by improving their 11, basically. Although obviously Duran could go, that means a striker would come in. But again, that striker's got to be able to compete with Watkins, and that's much harder said than done than what it would be in the summer. So yeah, let's see what happens in the next 3 weeks. But I'm not expecting anything particularly, should we say, exciting. Maybe a couple come in to bolster the squad, but nothing kind of out of the ordinary for a January window.
I think it'll be the case that if there's anyone comes in, it's probably because there's people left and we need to bridge those gaps in the squad in terms of personnel. If we're talking about improving a squad, the squad's very good. We're second in the Premier League. Like who is available in January that makes us better it's probably slim pickings. I disagree with you in the sense that I don't think there's a standout position. I think that there are positions that Villa need to rectify, but I don't see that happening now. I think that's a summer rebuild job rather than January. However, everything we've just said will preface the fact that we're not saying that this is stuff that Villa will do or Emery wants to do these things. This is just our opinion of what could happen, what Villa probably might need to look at. The list we put together is also from the suggestions off social media as well. So this isn't all just me and John. We'll get straight into it though with number 1. I've put assess the squad. Now, this isn't really something that Villa will do in January. This is a continual process, isn't it? That the club staff will be assessing what they've got all the time, but January is a good kind of marker for us to look at it at least and go, right, there is an opportunity to change things if you want to. Do we need to? What is the squad like? Where are we? How would you assess what we've got there, the makeup of that squad?
Yeah, as I said, I don't think there's any positions where, and I'm talking about the starting 11 here, I know that we need to buy another right back and possibly another forward, and Villa are looking at the tracking different wingers, etc. But do Villa have to buy those players right now? I don't think they do, for the sake of, for example, waiting on Jeremy Frimpong's release clause of 35 million to come up in the summer. Do you wait on that, or do you buy a player for 20 million now? And that's the player that you're going to have for the next 2 or 3 years, competing with Cash or playing above him or whatever. Again, for me, it's all about opportunity. Yes, they would have assessed the squad, and while that's important, Emery has always said that he wants to improve all the positions, and I remember saying a few days ago, or maybe it was on a Monday show last week or something, that last summer we saw Pau Torres come in, we saw Tielemans come in, first 2 signings in positions where we were arguably strongest. Obviously Tyrone Mings gets that injury, and now the Torres signing, I mean, it was good anyway, but that was so important because of that reason as well. Not that we foresaw that happening, but yeah, that just kind of proves that while a position might not look like it needs strengthening, I don't want to presume that Emery's just looking at right back and forward areas, for example. He's probably looking at left back as well. Do you know what I mean? It's across the whole spectrum. And again, it's, as you said earlier, it's about what a player's doing in terms of their own careers. They might be looking at moves elsewhere. I don't know. We'll see. Again, that's for the summer. But in January, I think it's all. I think it's pretty quiet across the division, to be honest. I'm not expecting it to happen across the Premier League in general. Like, I think it says all that. Have Chelsea signed anyone? They probably have somewhere, but that probably says everything you need to know that they actually do need to sign players. And I know they've spent so much already. but they do need new players. So yeah, I think the position that Villa are in, they would have assessed the squad, but then it's assessing what opportunities are there. And at the moment, nothing's presented itself. Maybe it does in the next 3 weeks, who knows? But at the moment, we're fine.
Yeah, the next couple of entries, I guess you'd say, on this list are position-based, and these come from social media, and the overwhelming majority of people suggest we do need a right-back. And I'm inclined to agree with that. Matty Cash is our only out-and-out right-back. Ezri Konsa is obviously playing a lot out there as well, I'd rather him play in the middle because he's a central defender and he's better there. Do we need a right-back right this second in January, though? Dan Bardell a few weeks ago did a video for us saying Villa don't need anyone in January. We don't need to make any signings whatsoever. And a few people agree with that, but most people thought, oh, you're mad, like we could close the gap on the top four. We need improvements. We need a big £50 million striker, etc. I just don't foresee those things happening in January for Villa. And obviously we could be wrong and something presents itself that Villa have to jump at because the opportunity is there. But I think you're more likely to find a Coutinho in January rather than a Moussa Diaby, for example. No, that's not right back, which is an overall point.
No. I think you're spot on. The one that bucks the trend is obviously Alex Moreno, but that's again how many times I was looking the other day at how many Villa have signed in the January windows previous, and only a few of them have actually gone.
That's a podcast, by the way. Spoiler alert.
Maybe I shouldn't name the players that I've ranked as actually decent, but there's probably about 3 or 4 in the last 7 years, and we've obviously signed more than 10. So it's very slim pickings in terms of what success stories come out of a January window, and that again I think is for basically every club. So for Villa to put down 20-30 million pound on a player is something that comes with risk for me. And then why is that club selling that player for that price? Do you know what I mean? They're always going to ask for more. So there's a whole lot of reasons why the deals have to be, as I say, kind of opportunistic. And Alex Moreno was different. He was kind of going down in his contract, and he is obviously, I think, 30 now. There was a deal there to be done, and Villa were there to do it. And obviously Emery was the one who pushed that move. So whether there's a right back like that Emery's looking at and then we can get done for less than 20 million, I don't know. But then you're asking the same question once more. Is there a player that we're looking at for the summer? And would we need to sign a right back now to then have 3 right backs next year? That's not something that I think he wants to have, because you don't want a bloated squad, do you? You don't want to have players on big wages when they're not playing. For example, Luca Dean, who joined the club on, as I say, a big wage, and there was a chance that he might have left the club in the summer, but he proved himself capable of playing in Emery's system. And now all of a sudden he's he's not playing every game because obviously he's injured at the moment, but you have 2 quality left backs there now. Villa need to do that in the right back position, and having one in January, one sign in the summer, and you've got Konsa, you've got 4 options there. For me, that's too many. So again, it's up to the club. They're aware that they'll be wanting to sign a right back, and it's all about whether the player that they want will be available in the summer or now, because for me, short-term fixes aren't going to help Villa in the long run. It's just simple for me, exactly the Coutinho deal. It was great while it happened, but then we're lucky in a way that a team have taken him off our hands, not for a fee at the moment because it's only a loan, but they've taken obviously a proportion of the wage. But now I think Coutinho's future's up in the air again, because I don't know if he wants to be in... where is he? He's in Qatar, I think, with Al Dahale. I don't know if he's going to be coming back and going out on another loan to maybe into Miami or something. But we'll see. But those are the situations you don't want to have, where you can't shift those players. There need to be players that improve the team, and that is just difficult in January. And
just to play devil's advocate ever so slightly, you can get bum deals in the summer as well. This isn't just a January thing. You can be stuck with players that you don't want in summer windows as well, but it's more likely that clubs are willing to offload people that probably aren't good long-term in the January window. I do want to look at Villa's January deals over the course of the last 10 years or so for an episode. Even like you said, the Premier League as a whole, obviously there's good deals that can be done in January. They're not all a write-off, but I'd say it's probably unless it's a cliche and something that you just think happens and it's not actually true, it feels like more January signings don't work than do work. And without actually investigating that, I can't say for certain, but that's how it feels at least.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'd almost get rid of the January window if it was maybe. It feels like a bit of a nonsense. You have your summer to prepare your squad, and then you can get injuries and stuff. But I just don't. It just seems a bit of not a pointless window, because I know a lot of clubs can do business thing that can help. But at the end of the day, for example, I always put it back on Villa and say, well, if a club came in for one of our players, would we accept those deals? No. So why would we expect, I don't know, or you'd buy Leverkusen because we've already signed 2 other players. Why would we expect them to sell one of their best players for anything less than a massive fee? So it just seems a bit, unless your recruitment's spot on and you're a team like Brighton who can sign that Barco kid who's clearly a very good talent. It just seems like a bit of a pointless window to me. So it's kind of the transfers always come with lots of hype and stuff, and especially the window, but I don't like the whole, this club should be doing this club should be doing that, when it's actually, well, can they do this? Can they do that? Do they want to sign a player that's not going to be with them in 2 years? Like, it just seems a bit of a lot of hype for nothing really, but just my opinion.
I kind of feel the same way, to be honest. I don't want to put downbeat energy on the video, transfers. But it's I'm inclined to agree with everything you said. Having said that, number 3 on our list is a backup goalkeeper, something that probably is more likely in a January window than, not more likely in a January one than a summer one, but more likely than a big deal to happen, that there's an experienced goalkeeper sat on somebody's bench somewhere that we think, well, actually we can take them and he can play in the cups or whatever, or a young goalkeeper maybe coming back from a loan spell, like Sinisalo coming back to us, things like that. Maybe you could level at Villa as a possible option. Robin Olsen is currently injured. I seem to remember thinking that his partner might have had a baby, but I might have totally made that up a few weeks back, and that's why he was missing from a squad once, and then he came back and he was injured. Might be wrong, but there's a place there, isn't there, that you can make an argument that if Villa are to do any business this year, maybe it's somebody to put behind Emi Martinez.
Back in the summer when I was out in America, I asked him about that dynamic between Olsen and Martinez, because obviously Villa were going to be playing in Europe. There was going to be lots more games, possibly, for a backup keeper. But as it's turned out, Martinez is playing the European games as well, which I totally agree with. You play your best goalkeeper for those games. And I understand Olsen's been playing he played the Carabao Cup game. He would have played in the FA Cup, I'm pretty sure, as well. And at the time, Emery said that he's happy with those 2 keepers, and then a third goalkeeper who's younger. Mm-hmm. There was no mention of him wanting to sign another keeper, but then in this window he kind of came out with it himself and said that he wants another goalkeeper, another young goalkeeper to kind of build his way up and play in his style. So I'd expect a younger goalkeeper. So that doesn't mean he has to be 21. It could be 24, because for goalkeepers, obviously they don't come into their prime until about 30. So I'd expect the keeper to join either in this window or in the summer. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's going to be a player who's going to be able to compete in terms of playing that number 2. Not number 2, the backup goalkeeper role straight away. Will he be good enough to play in cup games for Villa, considering he's going to be younger? We don't know yet, because we don't know the player that Villa are going to sign. They are obviously tracking a number of young keepers, but yeah, we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a younger player that will play kind of behind Olsen again, and then you'll see Marshall go out on loan potentially. I'm not too sure. Villa have obviously got their own younger goalkeepers. Sinisalo as well is currently out on loan, I think, is at Exeter at the moment. Yeah. I think he's spent time there before. So, we'll see what comes of that. But that is a position where Emery wants to recruit.
Sorry, I just bashed my mic up there. 100%. The 4th one on our list is a forward option. Now, we've also got, we'll do 4 and 5 together, actually. Loaning out Duran is also an option for this window. There's obviously a lot of talk in the last couple of weeks about an AC Milan move, talk about attitude problems and all this kind of stuff that we've spoken about before. Duran going out and a striker / hybrid forward coming in again would make sense. I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen, but I could see it happening. How do you assess our forward options, even with and without Duran?
I think at the moment I'm happy with them in those positions. I think it's difficult because I don't think Villa, I think they've got the depth, but I'm still waiting for us to kind of land a kind of a world-class talent that I say I'm still waiting. That's a bit harsh because we've only been competing for Champions League football for half of this season. If we get it, I think we do need to bring in someone who can be consistent every week. You look at Moussa Diaby, for example, who is a top talent, and we're kind of waiting for him to, of course, and we're waiting for him to kind of regain his confidence, I suppose. At the moment, Leon Bailey's playing out of his skin, and he's playing as if he could play for any team in the world at the moment. Leon Bailey is that good currently, but I don't expect Bailey to be doing that over the whole course of the season. And if he does, then fantastic. But I just think, well, what if one of them's injured? What if Diaby and Bailey both carrying knocks, all of a sudden we are kind of down to the bare bones really quickly. So I think for any team that's competing around the Champions League and doing it, for a long period of time, you need kind of, I don't know, that sprinkle of kind of world-class quality across your team. I think we have it in Pau Torres in defence. We have it in Douglas Luiz, and up front we obviously have a striker in Ollie Watkins who's capable of scoring goals. But I'm just thinking, can we have that bit of dynamite behind him? Supplement that with your Jacob Ramseys and Leon Baileys and Diaby and whatnot. And obviously that comes at a premium, right? But if you're going to get Champions League football, then that's where you need to spend the money on those types of players. The only thing I'd say as well is that, of course, Semi Buendia will be coming back at some point, hopefully before the end of the season. Maybe not. But again, that's a player that I don't think will take us to the next level necessarily. I think it's a player that, again, you can call on and use in rotation. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with Zaniolo, whether he's going to be made permanent or not yet. If he does go back, then Buendia kind of just takes up his role, or what it was this season, that kind of rotation player. And I'm happy with that. Villa are going to be playing a lot of games next season if they get, well, they will get Europe next season. Yeah, depending on what level, but there's going to be lots of games there, hopefully in the Champions League. So, yeah, we'll see. And on Duran, it goes to that opportunity part of the January window. If Villa can source a striker that can play minutes alongside or in place of Ollie Watkins, then they'll do it. But how difficult is that going to be to get in the January window? And the last thing I'd want Villa to do is to sign a player on a longer contract, as you say, Dan, who's maybe entering the latter years of his career and he just doesn't suit. And
like a Danny Ings.
Like a Danny Ings, I was going to go with Boy Basson, but that was almost just well, I don't even know if that cost us much. I think it's a free one, or we paid off his contract. I can't remember. Obviously, we're a level above that now, but that sort of signing that's on a big wage and you can't shift him, and that isn't something that I expect Moncho Emery to do, to be honest. So, I'm happy with John Duran staying as the number 2 striker. The only thing I would question is if we are actively looking to sign a striker and he knows that, and to be fair, he wants minutes himself, so he'd be up for going out on loan depending on what club it was. But I just don't want an unsettled player in the camp. If he is, if he's got plans to leave and he wants to go in this window, then I still wouldn't want Villa to kind of just force a striker into the squad. I still wouldn't want that. So I think it would then be up to Duran to kind of, after the window ends and he knows he can't leave, then he's got to knuckle down. And I know that's, something that he's struggled to do since he's joined because he wants to play and he wants to prove himself. But he's 20 years old. He's playing for, at the moment, the second best team in the Premier League. He's playing in Europe. He could be playing for a Champions League club. I think he just kind of needs to sit back and realise what he's got, because if he goes to AC Milan, which I don't think is going to happen at this stage, he'd be behind 3 or 4 strikers. And then if
he's going to go out on loan, he's got to play. It's going to be starting games. I know he's come off the bench a lot for Villa. We spoke about him last week or this week earlier, actually, on the show. That if there are attitude problems and all these kind of things, he won't be in an Emery squad. He's come off the bench 30 odd times under Emery. If you're not fit to play in an Emery side, you're shipped out. It's as simple as that. So there is clearly something there for Duran. But if he's going to go out on loan, there's nothing going and sitting on the bench for somebody else. You might as well stay with us and do that. You've got to go out and start a game somewhere, wherever that is. Yeah,
the kid's got talent, but he just needs to understand, I think, where he's at. He's, I've missed off that he's playing under one of the best managers in Europe. There's nothing that he has here that he's got everything here, basically, apart from starting every game. But what do you expect? You joined from Chicago Fire 12 months ago. You've come a long way in 12 months or even 6 months, because at the back end of last season, he didn't look like he was quite up to it. He was too raw, but I think this season he does look better. And if he continues that progress, he'll be okay. And he'll be playing games for Villa in the Champions League and stuff like that, what he wants to be doing. And by the age of 23, 24, who knows, maybe he'll be taking Watkins' place then as Villa's main forward. And that's your career path. And it's not bad. So, kind of don't, what's the word? Or what's the phrase? Sorry, kind of don't, be careful what you wish for is my...
the grass isn't always greener.
Exactly. That's my message to John Duran.
We'll move on from Duran in a second. We've also got the Harry Kane problem, which I'm now going to rename from now on the Ollie Watkins problem. Yeah. Who signs to Villa as a striker to be backup, knowing you're not going to start games? I know we play somebody off Watkins, and that's Diaby at the moment. You got Watkins, Diaby, Bailey. You don't come to Villa if you're starting games at another club knowing you're not going to be sat on the bench. Same with Spurs and Harry Kane. Who do they sign as a backup to Harry Kane, who plays every single minute? Now that's how Ollie Watkins at Villa. It's a very difficult position to find, and you need somebody like a Duran who's young and willing to be the backup man, or an experienced striker coming to the back end of their career. on a short-term deal or a loan, or you don't want to be stuck with somebody like a Danny Ings, like you say, on a high wage. So it's a limited market that Villa are shopping in, and unless they can get somebody better than Ollie Watkins, which we've discussed doesn't really exist unless you're paying astronomical fees, what are we expected to do? We're in a pretty good place, I think.
Yeah, we're in that awkward, it's not an awkward position, it's a very good position, but we're in that place where we're not, kind of your Man Cities or even Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal have Nketiah and Jesus, but almost any club, really, apart from the very, very elite, the top 3 or 4 in the world, will have maybe 2 top strikers. But then you take Erling Haaland out of City, then they're left with Alvarez, who isn't really a striker, is kind of a second striker or midfielder that advances. So, any team will have that problem. It's not a Villa problem. I mean, it's a problem if it becomes one, right? But it's not that we're not trying to sign a striker and that we can't, and there's a FFP and there's this and there's that. Yes, all those things are true, but that's not preventing us from signing a player. What's preventing us is exactly what you just said there, Dan. It's very difficult, especially in January, let alone in the summer, to sign a player who's nearly as good as Ollie Watkins and expect him to be on the bench. And if he is on the bench, I'd question his ambition. If they're that good, if they're on a huge amount of money, why would you come to us and sit on the bench? You want a player like John Duran who's ready to to fight for his position and be hungry and willing to fight for the cause. But unfortunately, Duran, I'm sure he is all of those things, but he wants to play. And I do think he just needs to look at himself and think, this is my position, here's where I am. It's a very good position to be in. So hopefully you can kind of see that with a bit more clarity in the next coming weeks or so.
I'm going to take a short break from our list, John, and I want you to talk to me about WhatsApp and our Villa WhatsApp community. I've seen this on social media this morning. Obviously, I know about it anyway, but I've seen you promoting it on social media this morning. I'm going to ask you to explain what it is, and I'll play the Devil's Advocate fan. Are you going to bombard me, John, with messages and adverts and other things that I don't want? What is this thing? Explain.
No, I won't be doing any of those things. So this is a WhatsApp community. I don't know if you've seen, I would flash my phone up and stuff, but I don't want to give away all my phone book contacts and stuff. Basically, if you go to Birmingham Live, you'll see it, and we can plug it in the comment section of this video as well, Dan. Mm-hmm. It's a community in WhatsApp, so it will appear in your messages section, basically, and it's going to be myself that kind of will be posting content on there, so articles that we do, podcasts that we do as well from Claret and Blue, and it will be sent to you like a message, and it won't be like a message an hour. It will be probably 3 messages, maybe 4 messages a day, something like that, but it will be content from myself, hopefully that's good quality content and good quality podcasts as well. Basically means that you won't be missing anything. And it won't be spamming everything that we produce on the Birmingham Live website. It will be breaking news, any transfer headlines, features, any interviews we do, all the podcasts and stuff. It basically means that you won't miss it because it's going to go to your phone. And don't worry, you can back out whenever you want. Your phone number won't be kind of traceable to anyone else that's in the group at the moment. I think, well, I don't know exactly, but we've got a few 100 people who joined it this morning, which is great. Hopefully that will continue to grow, and it just helps us as well because we can see what you guys want and what you're clicking, that sort of stuff. So it will be sent to your phone. I think it's a good idea. Hopefully you enjoy it, and you can see if Dan will leave the kind of the privacy notice as well, and all the kind of the red tape, that sort of stuff. Yeah, the T's and C's, and it's all free. You can back out all of that stuff. So but that will all be in the comments.
Yeah, there'll be a link in the description on YouTube and in the podcast on Spotify. You click the link, you go to WhatsApp, you press join. It's literally as simple as that. It's absolutely free. I will flash up my phone very quickly and maybe blur some of the other messages. But I've got one, you can't see it anyway because the camera's blurry. But in my list of WhatsApps for the day, there's Aston Villa breaking news halfway down. You go to the community and there's a message there from John, which is a story that you
live.
A Q&A. I can't reply to this as I'm just a user in this. I'm not like an admin or anything. You can't reply. You can't speak back to us. It's literally just a service to get essentially notifications for, hi, it's John. I've written this today. Go and read it. Hi, it's John. Yeah. Here's a podcast I did, go and watch it. It's for that, and it goes straight to your phone, straight to your WhatsApp, and to be fair, it's very handy, and hopefully people get on board with it. If you think it's annoying, you can exit out of the group. It doesn't cost you anything to leave. You don't have to give us your email address or anything. You just go, and it's gone, and that's that. On with the rest of the list. By the way, get used to us plugging it. We'll be doing that over the course of the next few episodes, so if you don't join it, You can try and join it on the next episode. Back with the rest of the list. Well, these ones are pretty quick fire. Not specific to January, really. This next one, I've got number 6 as give Leon Bailey a new contract. Obviously, this is not something that has to be done in January. It doesn't even need to be done in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months, really. I think his deal runs out in the summer of 2025. But it's one of those things that you don't want the contract to run down too far. He's on the form of his life. Do it now.
Yeah, precisely. The only thing you'd say is that hopefully he's not playing out of his skin because of that contract, and when he signs it, then he kind of steps off the gas. But I don't think that will be the case. I think he's adapted now to Premier League football. It's taken him a while, but he's here. He's confident in his own body and he's producing the goods. So yeah, Villa need to get that sorted. They signed Mings, McGinn, Konsa, and I knew there'd be one that there's one that's lost on me from last year anyway. So Villa are, they're open to giving, rewarding their players, should we say. And they're ready to open the doors. Watkins was the other one. There we go. 4 players. Villa are ready to reward Bailey as well. So hopefully that gets done sooner rather than later. And again, fully deserved.
Yeah, not much more to say about that one. As we say, not specifically for the January window, but something that I think most Villa fans agree he deserves a new deal. Get it done. Even if you don't rate him and think he needs to be moved on in the next year or two, he's an asset worth money. So you give him a contract for that, if nothing else. But at the moment, who do you replace someone like Leon Bailey with? He's doing exceptionally well. So sign the new deal, please. The next one, almost a little bit tongue in cheek. These last couple, not about transfers. So we've finished our transfer chat for this afternoon. I've got number 7. Get points against Everton and Newcastle.
These days, I'm struggling to kind of work on that. I'll take 4 points from these 2 games because you are now going into every game thinking, well, we want to win that one. We want to win that one. We want to win the next. It's if you offer me 4 points now, would I take it? Possibly. But then if we beat Everton, you wouldn't take a draw against Newcastle. So it's difficult. I still look at every game as very difficult. I really do. And I'm still waiting. I've said this for a while. Maybe I'm being negative, but I'm still waiting for that kind of 10 out of 10 away performance. I still haven't seen it yet. We've got good results away from home, not completely. We are 7th in the form table, I think, away from home. But I'm waiting for us to go to a place like Everton and win 2-0. And I think I said this before, but control the game, don't give up many opportunities, score with our chances, and just play very well. And again, I'm kind of being picky because we've been excellent at home, and this season so far has been remarkable, the best I've seen in my lifetime. But away from home, can we just go to Goodison, get the win? Again, I'm kind of going against myself here, but I'd take a win no matter how it comes. However, for the long term, for the rest of the season, if we were to get Champions League football and I can't turn around and say that we played amazing in any away game, that would be quite strange. So I do think we need to get those away performances correct. And at the moment, we're seeing teams, when we're at home, sit back more, respect us more. So there are going to be more challenges in the second half of the season. So I do think, we've done extremely well in the first half. The second half, I think, is going to be another massive test.
Number 8 on our list. I hope I've kept all these in, by the way, to keep the numbering consistent. But number 8, I think, is trying to work out how to beat a low block, or some people don't like the phrase low block, but sitting in deep, or whatever you want to call it. Again, not specific to January. I don't even think specific to our next couple of fixtures in Everton and Newcastle. I don't think they'll play this style of football. But for something to Emery work on in the background, away from transfers and away from this shorter month of matches, working out a way to shut out an opposition that are going to sit in against us and break them down is something that, yes, while we're still picking up points and turning in performances and climbing the table, it's not a huge deal, but eventually you feel like maybe that result over the performance might wear thin, and we do need to put in a performance in to get the points. I know that sounds mad, but it's something that Villa need to sort out at some point.
Yes, and I think we have been so good at home because the majority of the time we've gone a goal ahead, and we can then pick off the opponent and kind of play the way that we want to. Whereas if we go a goal down, we will struggle. We struggled against Palace until Duran comes on and scores a worldie. Other games we've struggled when we go behind. So that is a concern. And as I said just then, I kind of ruined the last point there, Dan. But that is the challenge for us in the second half of the season. And again, my point earlier about if we were to get Champions League and we've got the ability to spend big on a kind of a creative player that can play behind a striker and that sort of thing. This is why those teams have those players, because they will be playing against most teams at home when they are, 11 men behind the ball, that sort of thing, and they won't struggle to break them down because they have quality to do so. And we have players who have got quality but have so far played kind of on the counter attack and in the space, stuff like that, which is a reason why we've done so well this season, because we've kind of played, or other teams have played into our own hands, and we've obviously capitalised on that. So yeah, that is a concern of mine. The away performances rather than the form itself, I don't think it's been particularly poor. And the home performances from now on will teams, as you say, sit back. For example, if Newcastle get a goal against us early on, or at any point in the game and go 1-0 up, that will be a real challenge for us to get back in the game, because they will sit back and they'll be desperate to beat us, because I think they've got the 4th worst away record in the division.
Yeah, not been good.
Exactly. So yeah, both of those things are what will test us in the next 4 or 5 months.
And the final point on our to-do list for January is January specific, in fact, to the 27th of January, beat Chelsea in the FA Cup is something that I feel like we have to do, of course, but we all want to go as far as we can in the FA Cup this year after beating Middlesbrough 1-0. Some people calling it a boring tie to get Chelsea away. Got them in the League Cup, didn't we, last season? What was it, the season before, even possibly? Cameron Archer scored. Was it last year?
No, season before.
The season before.
Dean Smith was in charge, wasn't he, I think?
Wow, Christ, it's a long time ago, it feels. It's like people like the idea of a lower league tie, or like some people saying, like, because of the possible Albion Wolves 4th round tie, why couldn't we get Birmingham and all this kind of stuff? Let's have one of the big boys. And maybe it's weird to call Chelsea a big boy considering where they've been for the last 18 months or so. Beat Chelsea is the last thing on our to-do list for Villa this month.
Yeah, I don't particularly mind the draw. I think the name Chelsea and playing away comes with a lot of fear for some people. For me, it doesn't. I think they're a pretty poor team. I was not surprised that they lost at Middlesbrough. So I'm okay with it. Yes, I would have preferred a home tie for sure, for travel more than anything else. But it's a weekend game. Stamford Bridge away. We've beaten them once this season. We can definitely do it again. They're not a particularly good team. We could probably sack Pochettino as well if we wanted to be particularly like mischievous about it. But yeah, it's okay. I mean, yes, we could have got Newport at home, or Southampton at home, or something like that. And those we never seem to get. We got Stevenage at home, didn't we? Can't say that. But do you know what I mean? Like, why couldn't we just?
You look at Man United having to just beat Wigan on Monday night, and then they get Eastleigh away in the next round. You think, United, typical to get the easier tie in there. Chelsea.
Why can't we just get 4 home games in a row in the cup? Like, I think Leeds went like years and years and years only getting away games or something, and it's
18 years, I think.
It's like a 50-50 chance, of course, that you get pulled out. So why couldn't it just be 4 home games in a row when we have to start with 2 away games? But yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully we'll be fine. And if we get past Chelsea, then all of a sudden, again, kind of as we were saying in the video before, then the FA Cup becomes a bit of a reality of, we could start to do this. If we beat Chelsea, then get, I don't know, I'm using Southampton a lot, but Southampton at home, we can beat Southampton, and then all of a sudden, what are we then in the quarterfinal, I think? Then you've got a realistic chance of getting to, of course, getting to Wembley, but then maybe to the final. So, let's see if we get past Chelsea and see what the draw brings up then. Then it's, all eyes on the FA Cup. So hopefully we can do that.
And that is our 9 entries for Villa's to-do list in January. Not all of them specific to this month, and not all of them specific to transfers, but a nice little roundup of where we are heading into a bit of a break for Villa as well after Everton this weekend. There will still be content from us on Claret and Blue over the rest of the month, previews and post-match shows and whatnot, and I'm sure we'll do another transfer episode as well at some stage. The one task that I will set, actually the 2 tasks I will set you guys watching or listening to this, is to get involved in the comment section with our points raised and where you think Villa need any strengthening, and also join the WhatsApp community. The link is in the description down below. That is your second task, your bit of homework for this week. We'll be back on Friday with our Inside Bodymore preview show for Everton, which of course we play on Sunday. Hopefully we'll have an opposition preview section in that as well. One other thing is a little bit of a teaser almost for people who have watched all the way to the end of this, is that we want to do more filming in person this year. It's a task I've set you, Matt, and myself to physically meet up in person and do some recording together over the course of 2024. I actually look back as a task I set myself. We did 26 videos in 2023 in person, and I want to do more than 26 in 2024, which certainly feels achievable. I'm not promising that we do every episode before people get at me in the comments, but exciting to meet up, have a chat about Aston Villa when we're doing so well. We've got to grasp that opportunity with both hands. So be a pleasure to meet up with you, John and Matt, and special guests as well, and do some filming face to face rather than by the courses of StreamYard. But that's it for this one. John, thanks for your time as always. Thanks everyone for watching along. Get involved in the comments, get involved in WhatsApp, and we'll see you Friday.